I'm going to make sure my computer speakers are off because that would be bad. Talk about feedback. All right. Hey, what do you say, everyone? Welcome to a live episode of Tempestagi Talk. We are coming to you live from Rough and Tumble in Seattle. Okay, so I'm not from here. So is this still cool to call this Seattle? Do you go by neighborhood? Like, what's the proper? It's Ballard. Okay, so we're in Ballard.
Yep, Ballard downtown. There's also that.
There's a difference. There's a not downtown Ballard.
Yeah, because Ballard used to be its own city, right? It used to be its own city and town, I think.
So it's
and then Seattle absorbed it.
Just like the PHF was acquired, allegedly.
Yeah.
What? Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna do some. I love stuff like this. Okay, so we're in Ballard / downtown Ballard.
Yep.
Which is now part of Seattle.
Yeah.
And if you want to be really technical, not only are we at Rough and Tumble, but we're on the patio, right?
Yes,
we
are on the patio.
Okay.
Yes.
Outdoor area. We are here. Thank you so much for those. Hey, Daniel Berry, what's going on? Thanks for joining on YouTube. We're glad YouTube is working. Looks like IG should be up here soon. And we're excited because we are in between playoff games. Oh my goodness, it's Jen. Come say hi. Hey,
that's the legend herself, Jen Barnes.
Yes, while you're here, come sit. Yes, because we are here at Rough and Tumble, and I'm gonna have a whole bet that we're gonna improv this because that's what we do. But before we talk about women's basketball, let's talk about Rough and Tumble.
Okay.
Yeah, tell us the story, how it started, what it's been like. We're here for you.
Oh, this is very off the cuff because I was just coming to say hi. Well, so Rough and Tumble's in Seattle. You guys are here right now. And we are one of the first places in the world to be built to prioritize playing women's sports. And we're one of the only places in the world that is built for equality and equity. And so we actually play both men's and women's sports here pretty equally. There's definitely a heavier portion of women's sports. But there's a lot of sports fans who really appreciate both. And we wanted to make space for that here. So.
And recently, Rough and Tumble just became part of the ownership group of Ballard FC Women's, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Named, yes. In fact, we will be announcing the name of the new team in about 3.5 weeks. I know. I'm so excited. Yeah. So this will be the first USLW team to come to Seattle. We're super jazzed about it. And I'm just personally really honored to be part of this ownership group. Ballard FC is, the year before's champions of the USL2 League, which is the men's side. And so we're really looking forward to hopefully seeing that happen for the women's team.
That's really exciting. And also that's just the second women's sports bar in the US, right?
So this was the second one opened. There's one that opened just a little bit before me by a couple months, and they are down in Portland. They're called the Sports Bra, and they prioritize and they only play women's sports. So it's a little bit of a different concept. But we're both, I think, doing really important work. And there are now a total of 4 places. So once we were part of proving that this concept is something that people wanted and is making money, that, it I think inspired other people to do the same thing. So now there's one in Minneapolis and a 4th one. So there's a total of 4 in this world. The 4th one is just opened down in Long Beach, California.
That's really cool. And people come here for all types of games, both men's and women's.
Yep.
But I've seen very long lines for women's games here.
Yes.
How does it feel like for you making that happen in Seattle, that people have a safe place to come and watch women's sports?
It's incredible. I mean, women's sports deserve to be on TV at the same rates as men's sports. They deserve equal media coverage. They deserve better reporting, all the things that we talk about all the time. But this is, she's doing selfies over there. But this is incredibly special. And, I think I say this relatively often. I think that Rough and Tumble is here to fill a void that people didn't even know was a void until they realized that this existed. So yeah, there can be long lines. It's not always like that, but the really big games will have long lines. We actually just did a huge debate watch party for the Kamala Trump debate, and that was one of the biggest line situations I've seen. It was crazy. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
As someone who lives in Seattle, and we just recently moved here to Fremont. We
so
thought it was
close.
Ballard, but then we learned it was Fremont, and then someone said it was Freelard.
Freelard is
Yeah.
the area between. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's a thing. It totally
Yeah.
is.
It's just such an amazing place to be. If you visit Seattle, if you live in Seattle, make sure to stop by here. Jen, you've been doing such an amazing job here.
Thank you.
I've been to Rough and Tumble just like for brunch. I've been with the school for my MBA.
Mhm.
Now I'm here for this amazing podcast with Erica. Just thank you so much for having us here. We appreciate it.
Thank you for wanting to host your podcast here. It was super. I'm super honored.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's no other place.
And go Storm.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna tap in here.
Okay, I'm gonna pass the mic back. Bye, everybody. Wait, where?
Thanks, Jen. All right. So we got to get to know a little bit about Rough and Tumble, and I guess TBD on Seattle neighborhoods. Apparently, I'm not the only one.
No.
All right. Let's talk Storm. We're gonna do it, ghosts. Let's go. Oh, this is a question we have on YouTube. Are they still doing the naked bicycle ride thing in Fremont?
Yes, they still do that every year for what's the name of the festival? The Solstice, right? The Solstice Fair.
Okay.
That happens every year. People still go and do the naked riding. I've never partaken on it. Not sure I would, but
hey,
I respect.
Live your life.
Yeah,
we respect that.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk Storm.
Ooh,
That's a comment that we have, and absolutely, let's talk Storm. And if you have any comments, if you're watching on IG Live, pop those. We're monitoring that. We're monitoring YouTube. If you have any issues, excuse me, with our stream, with any of the sound, just let us know. Type that in the chat because we want to make sure that we are giving you all the goods here. All right. So usually when we start Tempestagi Talk or Gotta Get Up, which is a podcast for New York Liberty fans, we do the shoot around. We just did our shoot around.
We did.
We started talking about Rough and Tumble, Seattle, and then we go quarter by quarter.
Yeah.
Usually the shoot around is talking about women's basketball news, but we're going to save that for later because this is the playoffs. We got some games to talk about. All right.
We got serious stuff going on here.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to start with the Seattle Storm because this is Tempestagi Talk, which is our Seattle Storm podcast. Now, I said this on social media, but I would like to have the resident Brazilian and Portuguese speaker, just for those who maybe don't know, where did the name Tempestagi Talk come from?
So tempestade means storm in Portuguese, in Brazilian Portuguese. Can't say that it's the same for like Angola Portuguese or Portugal Portuguese, but that's how we say storm in Brazil. And Erica has this mission of empowering Black
I'm so excited to use them.
It's really cool. That's really cool. So Erica has this mission of empowering Black and melanated creators in women's sports.
Yep.
So we happened to cross paths in the ESPNW Summit in New York. We had been trying to like get together for a while, and it just happened that we met, we talked, it clicked, and then Erica hit me up with like, "Hey, what if we did this?" And we're doing this.
It. Yeah. We're doing the thing. We are doing the thing. We have a comment here. Lordy, Portuguese is so pretty. Studied German for a semester in college, and it ruined me for second languages. That's a tough one to start with. But Portuguese is very beautiful. Very beautiful. So we wanted to bring that into our coverage.
Yeah.
And so I told you this before, but we grew up me and my two sisters, we grew up in a family where my mother, she studied abroad in Brazil. She loved it. So we grew up with a lot of music, culture. So any excuse to kind of bring that back too was great. So
it's really cool. And we do have a Brazilian in the playoffs.
Yes, we do.
Damiris Dantas with the Indiana Fever. She was cooking last game. We had a third pick in the draft, Camila Cardoso, and we do have Stephanie Soares on the wings,
yes.
But she doesn't play as much, but she's really good.
That's it. And so another thing that we want to mention before we get into playoff talk is to talk about Beta Basket, because that is also a partnership that we have here, excuse me, with Black Rosie Media. And you do a great job here covering the WNBA for a Portuguese-speaking fan base, particularly from Brazil. And because of the players that you just mentioned, you are really on the cutting edge when it comes to having those players be able to hear questions and hear, just basketball talk in their native language. I remember during the bubble, Damiras, when I asked her a question and I said, obrigada, and her face lit up. You'd be surprised how much people just really appreciate hearing their native language. So Beta Basket is a way that if you speak Portuguese or you like Brazilian culture and you want to get feedback and women's basketball talk, Beta Basket is where to go.
Yeah, just give us a follow on social media. Most of our pages are beta_basket. It's very easy to find us. I've been trying to make it bilingual, Portuguese and English, because Camila has fans all over the world, and the South Carolina people. Can you tell Lula to make us some more Camila Cardoso?
Yeah, just clone her.
I'll give the president a call. Don't worry. There is though a project by the National Federation. They're calling it Project Camila Cardoso, which they are trying to find tall athletes, tall girls around the country that they could develop some basketball. On the men's side, it is Projeto Bruno Caboclo, who was drafted by the Raptors a while ago, but is now playing in Israel. Anyways,
look at that. Oh, wow. See, we have so much knowledge and we want to be able to share it multiple languages across cultures. And so that's what we're going to do. So we are definitely going to talk about some of those players and more. But let's start with the Seattle Storm. Ooh. They were in position to host at one time. Also, I'm very curious how that would have worked, because the Seattle Kraken had a preseason game yesterday, and we've seen WNBA games get bumped from their arenas because of NHL preseason. But anyway, I'll talk about that maybe on my other podcast, Locked on Kraken. But so the Seattle Storm took on the Vegas Aces, 4-5. It was a little bit of a back and forth on who was actually going to host. So Vegas ends up hosting, Seattle on the road. I thought they got off to a great start.
Yes, Seattle got off really well right out of the gate, which was an issue that they were having throughout the season.
Yes,
the starts had been really slow, especially early on and after the break. But it was different starting this first game of the playoffs. The Storm was able to take a really good lead. They started ahead. Actually, in the first quarter, they held the Aces to 11.1% from from
That's wild.
You got them shooting. I think it was they shot 2 for 8 the first quarter. It was So the Aces shot 2 for 18 in the first quarter.
18? And
they had only 9 points. On the other hand, the Storm was shooting 34.8. So they beat the Aces in the first quarter, 18-9. And you're talking about the team of the MVP. You're talking about the back-to-back champions. It's huge.
Right.
And we all know what the history is between the Storm and the Aces. So getting that head start, being able to start strong, could really have worked well for the Storm. could have gone really well, and it was going really well up until the fourth quarter, but we're going to talk about that later.
Yes, absolutely. We have Liz pops in and says, let's talk about the refereeing of that Seattle game. I think that's going to get. Hold on. Yeah, I think that's definitely something that we want to talk about for sure. But let's talk about the final score, 78-67. I don't think that was very indicative of the overall game.
It was not.
I love looking at the game flow chart. I thought Seattle did a pretty good job. However, fourth quarter.
That's a big wow over there.
Fourth quarter.
That was definitely a historical fourth quarter.
Great if you're an Aces fan, not so great
if you're a Storm fan.
Co-host a Seattle Storm podcast.
No, not really, because you want to have really good things to talk about. You don't really want to talk about the bad things that happened, which the Storm gave us a lot of good stuff to talk about.
And we definitely want to break that down.
Yeah.
But we have to, there's no way to talk about this game without talking about the fourth quarter.
That's what decided the game.
Yes.
The game was under control before the fourth quarter started. Actually, the Storm peaked at 60% from the floor. I think in the Storm in the second quarter, the Storm shot 60% from the floor, and it was 20-something to 20-something. So it was a very equitable score. Both teams were playing well. Yeah. They were doing their thing. It's the Aces and the Storm. You know that they're gonna put on a good game. You know that they're gonna put up a show. And it comes down to the errors.
Yes, indeed. And for those who are watching on YouTube, I am going to put up that lead tracker to your point.
Yeah.
When you look at this lead tracker, you can just see the green, just for those who maybe don't know, the green represents the Storm. Mm-hmm. The red, even though it's not a part of their uniform anymore, because they have to be like the Raiders, even though they're the ones with the 2 championships. I digress.
Yep.
I'm fine. I'm totally not bothered. I'm totally not bothered at all. The red, though, does represent the Las Vegas Aces. So they had a blip early, kind of in that middle part of the game, and then the staircase is massive in the fourth quarter for the Aces. You can see that both teams, their largest lead was 11, 12 lead changes.
12 lead changes, 8 ties. When you take a look at the lead tracker, it really tells the story of the game, which is a game of 2 teams that play at a very high pace. If I'm not mistaken, the Storm and the Aces are just as they finished ranking 4th and 5th. They also finished very close in terms to pace. And they were both shooting. They were both scoring upwards of 80s, which and that's what you saw throughout most. That's what the Storm was on pace for through the third quarter. It's really sad because it was such a good game.
Yeah,
it was a really good game. We got to see a really powerful Seattle Storm, which is what we had been waiting for the whole season.
Agreed.
It was a team that, ebbed and flowed throughout the season because it is a new team.
Yes.
I was rewatching.
What do I know about that as someone who also hosts a New York Liberty podcast?
That's true. That's true. I was rewatching the Media Day press conference, and Jewel Lloyd was talking about how, their priority was to just get to know each other.
Yeah.
Know how each one works. And it's not like you're bringing small pieces. You're bringing Neko Ogumake and Skylar Diggins-Smith, who have made their mark in the league.
Yeah.
And then you have Jewel as the Mercedes, who have been here for a while now. So you do need to bring that roster together, make them. They needed to kind of find a way to gel, to get familiar with each other, and we saw that happening, and we saw that just we start to see the best of it right before the Olympic break.
Mm.
Right before the Olympic break, I think the Storm closed their they closed on a 8-2 run, if I'm not mistaken. So they
Yeah,
got into
that
the
sounds
break
about right.
really well.
Yeah, and then did not come out so hot after
No.
the break, like at
No.
all.
Yeah, and after the
Yikes.
break,
Oh no, it wasn't that. It was. I gotta get used to where the buttons are. So sorry.
yeah. That's good. That's good. That's a good one. So yeah,
Okay, I won't touch anything right
it's it's very tempting. The
I
only
know.
reason why I'm not is because I'm looking somewhere else. Otherwise, I would be doing the same
Yeah,
thing.
I think that that's the difficulty of having a new quote unquote super team is
Yeah.
that you have to on the fly learn how to build this chemistry.
Exactly.
And the onus almost has to be on the players because between the practice and thank goodness now for charters, but there's so much that you have to do day to day to be prepared, as we've heard Skylar Diggins Smith say with very choice words. If you don't show up, you're not going to win in the WNBA.
No, and actually, someone made the question to Skylar and NECA, I guess, in the post-game presser that they're like, so the charter flights help the team, like, get more familiar with each other? And she was like, even more than that, the practice facility. So she was saying that having that designated space where they can go in and out anytime, where they can hang out in the players' lounge, they can
that's
go
huge.
do the pool. That really helped the team get accustomed to each other. So so Jewel Lloyd was voicing her concerns, she was concerned as in everyone who is starting something new, and she was like, our priority is to make sure that we know each other really well and that we can perform. And I'm gonna be honest, before I think that they did much better than I was expecting ahead of the break.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's been an up and down. It's been a seesaw. And they kind of had that, we have to come together and really decide what kind of a team we're going to be. And again, Skylar Diggins Smith was a huge part of that. She, again, did not mince her words in media. So I can only imagine what she said in that brand new practice facility. She christened it with some F-bombs, I'm sure. And so they played Vegas, and we talked about this on our last episode of Tempestagi Talk. They played Vegas. We felt that it was going to be a matchup that we would see in the playoffs. We're here. And I do think that they made some adjustments. We already talked about the early start. I think Gabby Williams was trying to find her shot earlier. Now, it didn't always connect, and that's just when you come in after the Olympics. Now she not only is coming into a team that's gelling, but now she has to get reacclimated with the team. I think also they tried to approach not only their own defensive schemes, but also anticipate what Vegas was going to do different between the last regular season game and this playoff game. But particularly when it comes to that last adjustment, Oeda, it almost sounded like maybe they did a little too much. What are your thoughts?
So they were trying to match the Aces pace. When you think about the flow of the game, the Storm was really in control at the start. They were dictating the pace. They were telling where the shots were going to go. They were making the steals. That's how you went up to halftime, and then in the third quarter, the Aces came in a little stronger, and that continued into the fourth quarter.
Right.
So the Aces did do some adjustments, which was to be aggressive.
They were I loved it. I loved it. I love to see that.
And they were So Mercedes Russell has stepped up big.
Right, with Ezzy's injury.
Yes.
We do have a report, though.
Yes, Ezzy is cleared for the next game. Yeah.
That's it. Hold on.
and she's gonna be big on the defensive part because why? And that's something that NECA said in the press conference. They were crowded in the fourth quarter. The Aces crowded the Storm, and they did a especially good job, especially better job in the paint because in the game before the playoffs, the Storm outscored the Aces 42-38 in the paint. And they saw that that's a place where they had to utilize Asia. They saw they had to bring their bigs. So what happened? Again, 42-38 for Seattle when they were here.
That's it.
Yesterday,
we have it on the screen.
The Aces flipped it and they beat the Storm 40-30 in the paint. So that was an adjustment that made a big difference. Especially when you think that when you think of the players that the Aces has in terms of defense, and that's not saying anything negative about Mercedes, but not having Ezzy makes such a big difference. She's such a big defender. She was a contestant for Defensive Player of the Year, and she should be in that all-defensive team. So having her this next game, I believe, is going to make a big difference, and it's going to give it's going to make it more equal in the paint, and we should see those numbers balanced a little more.
All right, before we move on to our next quarter, where we want to, talk a little bit more about some X factors for both teams. Let's talk about what we heard from the Seattle Storm after this game. What were some quotes, Roberta, that really stood out to you?
The first thing that NECA said when she was asked about the fourth quarter was that the Storm was gassed out. They didn't step up and they didn't have the energy. They didn't match the Aces' energy. And Gabby, when she was asked about it, she said, I'm still in shock, still processing what happened because think of it. You are in
about fourth quarter blunders.
Gosh,
that France game, man. Oh, France USA game.
Oh my God, she knows about that. Yeah. Okay. And when you think of high players that are such a high level, which are those Storm players, you have WNBA champions, you have world champions. That fourth quarter is not what they play for. That's not what they want to reflect. That's not what they want to reflect, and that's not what they want the Storm to reflect.
They were held to, what was it, 2 points?
2 points and no field goals.
No field goals.
0%.
Not for lack of trying.
No, they had 12 attempts. They had 12 attempts on that quarter. So they tried, but
to NECA's point, they were tuckered out.
Yeah, they were crowded.
I think at least some of it, yes, the crowding of the Aces. I think also, and I had concerns about this with another playoff team we'll talk about a little bit later, but defense in any sport is, yes, about your systems, but we hear this with the Seattle Kraken a lot. That's an effort thing, right? Yeah. That's a heart thing.
And that's something that NECA said too.
And you honestly either have it or you don't.
Yep.
And you have to commit to playing good defense and know you're going to suffer. It's like that quote from one of the Harry Potter films. It's like, you're going to suffer, but you're going to be happy about it. That's what defense is. That's kind of how defense works. Yeah. You have to know going in that you will suffer, but you do it because if you can play pesky defense like the Seattle Storm did early, and you can do that consistently, you make things so much harder for the opposition. And it just felt like, to NECA's point, that they ran out of gas.
Yeah.
And that affected and impacted how they were able to get things going offensively when the Aces made some adjustments.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that was a point. That was such hello peacefully. So that was a point that really got to the players, because NECA repeated a few times. That's me. Someone on the comments said Gabby didn't even get the time to process the France game.
I still haven't processed it. I'm right there with her. I don't know what happened. I'm gutted. But anyway.
So NECA said, that's not a skill set. You know, that's a mindset. That's not a skill set.
Exactly.
When you're talking about matching the energy, and that has been a recurring topic when you're talking about Seattle Storm. I mean, we clearly saw that this team improved and kind of like woke up after that press conference when Skylar Diggins slapped the table and said, "In this league, if you don't show up every night, you're going to lose."
I think there is a beep here. Hold on. You keep talking. I'll find it.
So yeah, that has been there it is. Oh my god, that's gonna be so useful.
You have to, or you're gonna lose.
Exactly. Perfect. So that has been a recurring topic with the Storm. And I've said in this podcast earlier that I think that this is a team that's still trying to figure out their identity.
Yeah.
I think that there is I don't think there is an identity crisis going on. And I don't say that in a negative way. It's part of the process.
It is a part of the process. And that is something that we talked about this in one of our first episodes when we had you come on on Black Rosie Media, I guess right around the Olympics, right before the Olympics. And am I a little salty? Absolutely. But like the New York Liberty, they didn't get the benefit of the doubt.
No, they didn't.
And I think the Storm are having a unique experience internally, but externally, I'm not sure that they're getting all that smoke.
Externally or internally?
Externally, like media in the media.
No,
I don't think they're getting the same smoke that the Liberty got.
Yeah, because there were some people that tried to put the super team label on the Storm.
Well, I mean, because you bring in heavy hitters in free agency.
Asia Wilson said that's a super team for me.
Yeah.
So,
which is funny because she told me that the super teams don't exist. But see, that's how narratives change. Yeah. That's how narratives be changing.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. So, and again, I think that there are so many nuances of what makes a super team.
Agreed.
Did I think that the Storm was a super team? I was like, it's not that it was a super team. It was a really good, dangerous team. But not a super team.
Yes.
And that's not to their detriment.
No, it takes time.
It takes time. And I think it's a realistic assessment. And they are showing that they really are dangerous. I mean, start with the Aces, their defensive work, they have been showing glimpses of what that team, of what that core four can be.
I like to say brushes with brilliance, right?
Yeah.
Just little mini strokes, like Bob Ross, little happy trees. Happy trees.
It's a little basketball Monet.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so let's get into these X factors then, because we do want to talk about some other things. Let's start with the Storm. I feel like it's already in the chat. We already put it out there, but number one X factor for you.
Ezzy Magdagor. And luckily she's available. She can play. I believe that I would like to believe that she's fully healthy now, because one thing, happy storms. One thing that is true is that Noelle Quinn really likes to respect the player's body and mind and time. So yes, would it have been more beneficial for the Storm to have
this comment is funny. It also reminds me of the sign we saw.
Sign. Someone talked about the Erica Hamby stuff.
Yeah.
And someone just commented, until the Hamby lawsuit gets resolved, I won't be offering any praise of the ACES organization. Same.
I mean, hey, that's okay. We can talk about the happy storms.
Yeah, let's talk about the happy storms. So with Ezzy coming back, you add that defensive element in the paint that you need with the Aces, because I know that Mac Gustafson she's a spread four and she can play outside, but she's really good in the paint.
Yeah.
And if they bring her in, it's going to be an added threat for the Storm.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
having Ezzy Magdagor is amazing. Rebounding is going to be key also.
Yes.
And there is also another little fact here, that up until the fourth quarter, the Storm was out rebounding the Aces, 40-33.
huge.
Yeah.
That's
And
huge.
rebounds are another are like key elements that Noe has always repeated on
You
press
have to.
conferences.
You have to rebound, which means
yeah.
you also have to box out. I don't know, like is that on the coach's scout? Like I wanna
Yeah.
know, because I feel like boxing out is the lost art.
Yeah, it is, and that's Mao, my amazing spouse, is here, and they watch the game with me every Storm game. I feel like they have watched every Storm game for the past 4 years. So it's just, you see clearly that there is a lack of effort when it comes to boxing.
Yeah.
For on the Storm players, you saw. I think we were watching the Indiana game, and you saw Lexi Hole. She would pop out of nowhere in the middle of her. She would just like snatch the ball from Alyssa Thomas's hand, from Deanna Bonner. So that's what's missing, and I think that's part of the heart, the energy that players have been talking about. And like Noe said, that's not something that you can teach. That's not something that you can, she said, I'm not on the court with them. That has to come from within.
Absolutely.
So
I just want to get to this comment. We have someone on IG Live asking, is Gotta Get Up also getting an IG Live recap? Yes, we are going to do a Gotta Get Up episode. We're a little behind. We had some scheduling issues with me now here in Seattle. But yes, Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans, especially. And we're going to talk about the Liberty later.
Yes.
But we will definitely get back to y'all, especially, I mean, we have logos, we have branding. I'm so in love with this.
It's a really cool logo.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think we mentioned this when we brought it up, but so Ari Chambers, real quick, have to give some flowers to Ari Chambers. She made her sideline debut.
Oh, I saw
for the
that.
New York Liberty game. But funny story is this cutout of the E from Liberty. Like that's actually, I spliced that
from
a
Ari's photo.
Picture, because
that's
she always
amazing.
carried the E. It's a whole thing.
Also,
It's
let's
a whole
talk
vibe.
about her fit. That was just like matching the
Matching
foam,
vibes.
the blue foam. How do sea foam green?
Yes, sea foam.
She is.
We
Oh
got
my
more
god!
flares.
I'm like, Ari deserves all that's good in the
all
world.
the praise. That's
Yeah.
it. Okay, we got sidetracked, but it's fine.
Okay, so just the final key factors for the Storm: consistency. They need to make sure that if they start strong. If they start strong, they have to finish strong. And I've been saying that throughout the season, they had either slow starts and they would pick up on the third, or they would have
fans.
or they would have strong starts, and or anyway, either or. They got away with
Yes,
it.
Liz, you already know we're talking about Leo on this podcast. I'm sorry. I'm so hyped. We're gonna get there. I promise.
You're a big Leone Fiebich fan. I mean, who is not? So, and I've said that previously that against more forgiving teams, the Storm can ebb and flow. But when you're talking about the Aces, and I'm gonna pull it from the press conference, what NECA said, with a team like that, you can't relax. We can't do that again. If we turn it over, they're capitalizing on it.
That's it.
So that's the big difference. And we're talking about playoffs Aces. I mean, Chelsea Gray yesterday. Were you in that 2022 series here? I had. No. Yep.
You're not welcome here.
No. There is this tweet that someone, a Storm fan, yelled, "Leave us alone, Chelsea." We have families, and we saw her doing that yesterday, because that's the point guard. That's like that's it's serious.
Yes.
And also the last thing that I have to say,
The point
the
guard.
point God. The last thing I have to say is utilizing Jordan Horston.
Yes. Okay. So I saw some of the comments in the chat. Since that's your last one, I'm going to talk about the aces a little bit, but I don't want to get this lost. There were 2 questions that I saw in the chat. I'm going to remix it, so I apologize in advance if it's not word for word. 1, do you think that the Storm should have gone to their bench earlier? And 2, where does Jordan Horston fit into this series if the Aces, or excuse me, if the Storm want to defeat the Aces and Seattle wants to advance?
So I thought that Jordan could have been more used, and she could have seen
Horston.
more Horston. And I think she could have touched the ball more in the last quarter. She was 3 for 3 in the second quarter. She had 8 points and a few more rebounds, it was the second quarter that the Storm really had 60% from the field. In the last quarter, she had only one attempt. So she should have seen the ball more. I asked Noe about it. I asked her, so Jordan had a good start. What was the reasoning behind her not playing the last? And Noe was very adamant. I want to be clear that Jordan's role, what I want from her, is defense.
Hey,
that's what I want from her, and she's doing great. She's doing great at it.
Listen,
yeah,
and that is honestly a lot of what you have good coaching in the regular season, and then great coaching comes from having your, no pun intended, aces in places.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something that we're going to talk about when we talk about the New York Liberty a little bit later. But let's talk about the Las Vegas Aces. Our TV went out. I touched something. I don't know. Anyway, it's fine.
That's all right.
So what I saw from the Aces is, you talked about consistency. I think there was a resiliency, right? A relentlessness, even when things weren't working. Asia Wilson, oh my goodness. It took her a really long time to get going in this game. And I know we had comments about the officiating. I think for the most part they were letting things fly a little too much,
and that was a topic
sides.
In the press conference with Becky Hammond.
I mean,
she was like, well, she was something in the lines of, I am shocked that let's talk about how Asia only went to the line twice, and then Tiffany Hayes, which, oh my God. So Asia was in the crowd. Asia was like, let's not talk about it. And Tiffany kind of covered back his mouth so she would stop talking about the officiating.
I mean, it was pretty egregious. Some of those I was screaming. I probably would have gotten fined if I was mic'd up.
I don't blame Christy Sides for what she did.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was not great. And I think there is something to playing through contact.
Yes.
And that is something that both teams had to figure out. I think honestly, between these two teams, in the whole spectrum of all 4 games, these two teams probably did the best playing through. You just have to play the way the game is going to be officiated.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I think going back to the Aces, they were able to find ways. Tip Hayes was huge for them.
Yes.
Huge. And they got really significant minutes off of the bench. And that, again, is why you go from good to great when it comes to coaching and decision making. And if Noe and Jordan are on the same page,
exactly,
it really don't matter what we think.
That's a very important point. That's a huge point. And I think on the fan side, it's something that people need to be like conscious of that. And I think there was a lot of that with the Nika Mule conversation.
There's a comment about that.
Which
Nika need more minutes?
Which
generally speaking, yes. Is she going to get them this series?
No. No.
No, she's not.
No. And it seems like they are on the same page. Gabby had amazing things to say about Jordan. They are Gabby's kind of like Jordan's mentor. They have said that publicly. Now, for the Aces, do you know what they need? They need Plum Dog to score more than 2 points.
Oh yeah.
And they need
Yeah.
Kia Stokes to score because she was zeroed last game. So
Okay. Well, first of all, like, let's not act like that's
concerning.
picking my last word wisely. More right. Just beep out all of this. What do I want to say about Kia Stokes? Offensively,
Yes.
is it
yes.
surprising to see her with 4 or fewer points? No.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Mm-mm.
Should it be more of an emphasis in her game? I would say yes, but I've been
Yeah.
saying that since she was with the New York Liberty.
Yeah.
She's
Wait, you're
also-
talking about Kia?
Kia Stokes.
Yeah.
She's
okay.
also great at rebounding on the defensive side, but not so much on the offensive boards.
Exactly. She did leave the game with 8 rebounds, which was very important.
Yeah. Because I mean, when you've got shoulders like that, I would just be banging on the boards all day.
yeah, exactly.
If my shoulders were that big, I'd be like, "You're cute."
I would say
goodbye."
it's her and Elisa Thomas.
Oh
like,
my gosh, I know.
But yeah, I do think that part of what makes Kelsey Plum such a prolific point guard is the fact that she can score really well. So I do believe that, you know, if the Storm comes strong, nothing new from Kia. if Seattle starts strong and they keep it consistent throughout the game, and we have Jewel Lloyd, if Jewel Lloyd has a Jewel Lloyd game, has a Gold Mamba game.
Ooh, we had some Gold Mamba nachos earlier.
yeah. Shout out, you know,
Rough and Tumble,
the
check 'em
food
out.
here. Rough and
I
Tumble
know.
has like really cool
I
names.
had the goat sandwich today.
Yeah.
I still have half of it that I'm staring at.
They
right
have
there.
the mac. They have the Wombuck mac and cheese.
Ooh,
It's really good.
I haven't
We had
tried that
it.
one.
Yeah,
yet.
it's really
Okay,
good.
I gotta check that
They have
out.
the Noe fish tacos.
Yes, I saw that today. I almost got some
Yeah.
fish tacos. Apparently, Coach Quinn is all about it.
Yeah.
All about it.
Anyway, so you know, we need to see a Jewel Lloyd having a Gold Mamba
Yes.
game. You know, last game she was quiet.
It's the Gold Mamba nachos.
Nachos. Yes.
Nachos.
Gold Mamba nachos. They
Very
have
good.
Billie Jean King something.
Something.
Yeah. Anyways,
It's on there. Yeah. Great menu. Check it out.
Yeah, really good.
We're doing such a great job.
Yeah,
selling the
right.
menu. We had
I'm
two
here
things.
often.
Yeah. Well, there you go. They just changed the menu. In fairness, though. So in fairness,
Yeah.
I learned from Gray that the menu just changed. So
Oh,
that's why we don't know everything. That's what it is.
But yeah,
Yes, it's
so
nachos.
I do think that if Jewel Lloyd has a Gold Mamba game, which is like shooting 7 of something from
she had a
3,
rough time in
uh,
game one.
the Aces are gonna struggle.
I think this is my bold prediction. I don't know if it's that bold. Maybe until the Minnesota Phoenix game 1, I was saying that this series between Seattle and Vegas had the most likelihood of going to 3 games, all 3 games.
Same.
I don't know. Phoenix, I never can. I
That
say this
game.
all the time. I never know what Phoenix. What are
Yeah.
y'all about? What are y'all
Yeah.
really?
So in my
what are y'all
yeah,
about?
in my predictions, I was like, you know, it's very likely that Minnesota is gonna like cruise by. However, when you're talking about
Sheesh.
Phoenix, you have Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, Natasha Cloud, and I wrote
Don't forget about Ka.
Ka. So
KFC.
yeah. So here's the thing: Minnesota may have the second best record, but Phoenix has players who can shift the energy of the
Yes.
whole. They can change
And
like
they
the
have
X of the earth.
championship, not just playoff, but they
Yeah.
have championship experience.
Exactly.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. And that brings us to, we kind of bounced around on the first half,
Yeah.
first and second quarter, but we're in our third quarter now. We're talking about WNBA news, women's basketball news. So the scores: Minnesota 102-95. Now I think again in the clutch time fouls in the last minute or so, this final score versus what it felt like,
Exactly.
very different.
Very, very different because when you think, I think Phoenix was down 23 points.
Wild.
Phoenix was down
Wild.
23 points,
Yeah.
and then
When
I
did they
think
get their
Taurasi.
first lead?
Yeah, I think Taurasi hit three
Nasty.
3-pointers, and Natasha
Okay.
Cloud started like dishing some pretty crazy dimes.
I have to stop you there. Because I don't know how we got to Phoenix and have gotten this far into the podcast and have not mentioned if this is it.
If this is it.
If this is it.
Okay,
If this is it.
Now
baby,
here's the question.
What are you doing? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Is this
What
it?
do you mean?
Is this it?
Is it it?
I don't know.
Is it over? She just is having fun with us.
I think she's having a great time with it. Yeah.
She's having a grand old time just like trolling all of us.
Exactly.
Oh my
and the
gosh.
thing is, I made a comment on X, formerly Twitter, that was like, it would be very if imagine if Taurasi suddenly decides that like, no, I'm gonna come back. She would either be like the biggest troll, and I was like, well, she is.
She is. Like she is.
Yeah. So when it comes to Taurasi, you don't know what you can expect. The Seattle Sunset. Yeah,
it's gone now. I gotta.
We love that you're looking that on the bright side.
Well, wait. I can use. There is a button. Hold on. I gotta find it. Wait. Don't go anywhere.
Good. Wow, that's a whole other level. I hope it's not it.
I promise I'll get better at this, but for now I don't know where the buttons are. I'm like, scroll.
It's a process. You have to learn it.
Okay, you learn it. I'm just gonna change something.
Oh, okay.
On that. Yeah.
So yeah, if this is it, so I think that we're every time that we look at Taurasi and then bringing it back to the Storm, you think about Sue Bird, right? Because Taurasi, Sue Bird, Taurasi, and we have that experience with Sue, where she, when it was time for her to go, she was like, "I'm gonna let people know. I'm gonna let them celebrate me. I want my family to know. I want people to know." The thing is that DT and Sue are so different. And I think I was watching a documentary that they were talking about. They were really talking about that difference between Sue. I think it was on Netflix. I can't remember.
I wasn't kidding.
What is that one?
It's the one about Sue where they start,
that one.
One more year.
Yes,
I know
the final year,
something like that.
Anyway, that one, and they talk about that. I forgot that's where I watched it.
Yeah, I was like, no, but for real, it was on
that. And they talk about that difference. So honestly, I expect DT's final games to be completely different. I wouldn't be surprised if she pulled Candace Parker.
Listen, she's like, I'm back. Just kidding.
Yeah. I love that people are like, Candace Parker woke up for training camp, was like, nah, I don't want to work anymore. I'm gonna
basically. Well, we already know she's not going into coaching because she doesn't rebound. As if we didn't already know that. She's like, I don't rebound. We're like, we know.
Yeah,
we know, but we know. I mean, it's cool, do you? But that's not your ministry. It's fine.
As far as I'm, if I had to guess, when Diana Taurasi retires, she's gonna move down to Argentina, live in. Yeah, she's gonna. How do you call places that make winery?
Yes.
She was gonna have her own winery,
yes.
And she's gonna sip wine with Penny Taylor and grow her kids in Argentina.
She's very into the wine.
She is really big.
So Gino wine over DT wine over Gino wine, because Gino does have like actual wine. I don't think DT has any yet, but
I don't think she does. Do you think she would be interested?
She's not gonna. We know she's not gonna crush the grapes. So.
Yeah, for sure.
She doesn't have to crush the grapes. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Anyways,
quality control. If I'm a Mercury fan, I'm ready for Taurasi to make some space for Ka and Cloud to lead, and that's essentially what we saw.
That's what we saw. Yeah,
that was what the pushback was, and you still can. There's value in having Diana Taurasi to make those clutch baskets. Another one. I don't want to say say we, I definitely rag on Kia Stokes, but Griner, like, as big as Griner, as dominant as Griner could be, I just wonder, like, okay, but like, when, where's the activate button? Like, when does it turn on?
You know, I do think that it changed after all that.
I think that
she changed completely after the whole Russia situation.
I do, and that's fair. I thank you for bringing that up, because that is a very fair point. I would add that prior to that, there were still times where the Griner button didn't always activate.
True.
That's fair. And I just think that, but the beauty of Phoenix overall is that, and we saw this under Sandy Brondello, and it used to drive me mad, is that they just hit another level. And so when Nafisa Collier was asked about if this is it, and then her response was, hopefully we can, retire her, or whatever her comment was.
40 points by Diana Taurasi this week.
That's how you activate DT.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know about Griner, but that's how you activate DT.
That's how some players operate, and they love the challenge. They love to be poked, and Diana Taurasi loves to be poked. She thrives on it.
Angelica, it was this year that I realized Diana is fluent in Spanish. Yes, and she speaks Italian too. I never remember if it's which one of between her dad and her mom who is Italian and who is Argentinian. I know that I don't remember. There's a part of me that wants to say her father is Italian.
That's what I'm thinking.
But I don't know. Either way, her parents are Italian and
Argentinian.
From Argentina. Yes.
And she again a touch more during the pandemics. And Sue Bird was like, Diana, I know that if it was up to you, you would be living in Argentina right now. You would have left the U.S. already. Yeah, she's obsessed with Diego Maradona.
She really is. She really. I got to interview her once in Westchester County Center, of all places, about Argentina, and the way the goat lit up. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Yep. This is a terrible tight locker room, Maradona. But this is a great interview.
Little funny, just like fun story from 2009 when I first came to the U.S. and I went to the All-Star game as a fan. I was talking. I was.
Where was 09?
09 Connecticut.
Oh,
09 and 10.
Uncasville.
So I went up to Taurasi and I was like, hey, I'm from Brazil. The first thing she said was like, oh no, we're enemies. I am Maradona, you're Pelé, which is like she loves it. I love that.
Loves it. Yeah. She does, because it was around, when was the last Men's World Cup?
Yep.
26, 20, I don't know. It was
a long time ago.
Anyway,
Maradona is one of like the old
Maradona goes way back. I was trying to remember when the last Men's World Cup is, but I don't know. 20. That's what
you're talking about the Olympics?
4 years. No, World
2012.
Cup.
Oh, no, World Cup.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Oh, right. Oh my gosh. Right. Oh, Grant. Oh, yeah. I just got sad. That was right.
Well. Where's the button?
Let's just reset real quick. I just got really sad. That was so tragic. Okay, but Minnesota wins this.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to think this could go 3, but what are your thoughts?
I think it goes 3. Let's see what are my. Yeah, I thought it was Minnesota in 2.
Yeah.
Now I think that they can go to 3.
I think it can go 3.
I think it can go 3.
I still think Minnesota wins.
Me too. I think Minnesota wins.
Just have a better defensive team.
Yeah. In general, the basketball that Minnesota has been playing is just beautiful basketball. Yeah. And when you think of Cheryl Reeve and Cheryl Reeve coaching, Cheryl Reeve, basketball,
she was my Coach of the Year selection.
She what?
Coach of the Year for me.
Oh, for me, she's though. Yeah, she has
Coach
to be.
Of the Year.
Yeah.
Olympics does not count. Although I have said this with Misha, not to make it all about the Mystics, Jones. I thought that some of the demerits that she got during the Olympic cycle were not necessarily fair. But we're not going to get into that too much. But she's my coach of the year. Okay.
Yeah,
Then
I do.
we have. All right, let's talk about
Who?
I'm doing my Kamala pauses like a lot here because I'm just like, do I want to go on the record saying this? Most of the time, I don't care. The golden girl in Indiana. Ooh. So what I thought was interesting is like some of the headlines are just wild. So I don't know if you know this, but Caitlin Clark lost, not Indiana.
Who?
Caitlin Clark. Who? How do you spell that? Y no
K-A-
K-A-Y no Caitlin Clark lost, not Indiana.
No, not Indiana.
Not Indiana.
No.
Just Caitlin.
No, and did you see that there is Caitlin Clark lost not to the Connecticut Sun, but to the player who called her out? that was a headline in an actual newspaper.
Listen, we all get it. Caitlin Clark is a name, right? Get it in your headline, get it in your SEO, and like be respectful of like sports fans.
Yeah,
like, we're not idiots.
She wasn't the best player
most of the time. We're not idiots. No.
Yeah,
but,
no.
Okay, some of the headlines have been bothering me, but let's talk about this because I was at Caitlin Clark's first regular season game against the Connecticut Sun, and we knew that the conversation about it being a rude awakening to play the Connecticut Sun in your first game as a rookie as a part of the Indiana Fever.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That was like, do you hate me? Like, what's going on? Why is this? And then played them 2 or 3 times in like her first 10 games.
Yeah,
that's insane.
That was
insane. We get a rematch of this. What do we know about Connecticut? They are the most physical, the most defensively sound, arguably consistently, because I think that they're technically ranked third behind Minnesota and New York defensively, but they just play a tenacious game.
They do.
I am expecting Connecticut to take this series.
Me too. Yeah. What did I say? I think that. Oh no, I did say Connecticut in 3.
In 3. Oh, in 3.
Yeah.
In 3.
I
think Rookie of the Year announced on Friday.
Just like
Indiana. Is that what you're saying? That's what we're gonna get. That's what we're gonna get the announcement. You heard it here.
After the first game, I'm not that sure anymore, but I did have Connecticut in 3 locked before that game. Now I'm not like because Indiana finished the season strong. They got in a groove and they started having like more pieces kind of like filling in. Lexi Hall has really been like on a roll. Kelsey Mitchell. I mean, I said that. I said that in the
better basketball.
Yeah, I said that, and I think that Kelsey Mitchell is the best player in the Indiana Fever. I still think that. I said that, and one of our fellow media members laughed at my face, and I was like, you can't say that Caitlin Clark is the best player in the Indiana Fever. I think that Kelsey Mitchell has like a bigger impact on that team.
Kelsey Mitchell being healthy.
Oh yeah.
At the time that Caitlin Clark was turning the ball over less.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
and again,
a huge part. And to your point about Lexi Hall, like people have been trashing Lexi Hall since she entered the league.
Oh, and also,
and I'm like, you have to watch her game. Like her game is good. Of course, she makes mistakes, just like everybody else. But like her game, when she is on it, she is a critical part of what Indiana does. Damiras has put in significant minutes, and we've talked about this before. I agree with you. Kelsey Mitchell, best player for me on Indiana.
Yeah.
That being said, there could be an argument that Caitlin Clark already is one of the best point guards in the league at the moment.
100%. 100%.
We talked about this, like who is an actual one, and positionless basketball, I think, has changed a lot of things. But as a true point guard, or what is it that Courtney Williams doesn't like to be called a point guard. She likes to be called a lead guard.
Oh yeah,
A lead guard.
yeah.
As a true point guard
I
slash
love Courtney
lead
Williams.
guard,
I
think that you can absolutely
Yeah.
make a case.
I do think that she has the numbers behind her to on her favor. I do think, and again, I say that Kelsey Mitchell is the best player on the Indiana Fever, not as like a dig at Caitlin Clark, not
No.
because apparently everything that you say, if you don't say,
because we have this comment, right? How do you define impact? Who am I giving the ball to when you need a bucket?
Exactly.
I'm giving it to Mitchell.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And who's the second option? Probably Boston.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so people cannot forget that Indiana Fever is being built for a while now. And again, tying it back to the Storm, the person who started the rebuild of that team was Pokey Chetman. She drafted Kelsey Mitchell. She brought in Erica Wheeler. She is a head coach. Sorry, she's a coach and a general manager who is really good at identifying young talent and international talent. And I saw people saying very nasty things about every Indiana player this year. I saw people saying really bad things about Erica Wheeler, Aaliyah Boston earlier in the season. She said that she had to delete her social media because, if you're destroying the mental health of an angel like Aaliyah Boston, Aaliyah Boston is an angel of a person. I wanted.
We don't have a halo. I gotta get Beyonce on it.
I took that personally because you have Aaliyah Boston, who is like one of the kindest, more like one of the most polite players that I've seen out there.
Smart,
so young and such a huge leader and such a dominant player.
She's been a really great teammate to Caitlin.
Yeah. So, and then I saw every player in the Indiana Fever has received a huge amount of hate until the team started to win. And honestly,
oh my gosh,
shout out to Christy Side's therapist.
Oh my gosh.
Whoever. I'm gonna need a referral.
Right. I'll just slide that card over the side.
Because I don't know if I would have taken if I would have been able to take all that
for her job
in the first game.
After the first game.
Talk about delusional.
Oh my god!
They were like, put Lisa Blutter in. Like, why you're not talking about the NCAA? You're talking about
okay.
Anyways, so I do think that Angelica, don't even start with the de-escalation. I got 600,000 people on my Twitter saying all the nastiest things to me.
That's so wild on so many levels. But yeah, we're not going to get into that.
No,
So we think this series could go to 3.
I think it could go to 3.
Indiana would get a home game.
Yes.
So when people were talking about Caitlin Clark should be on the Olympic team for, exposure for
in whose place?
All of this. Yeah, right. All of the arguments that people made for that happening, which made no sense. I got to be honest. Indiana getting another home game, that's a better argument than Caitlin Clark making USAB.
Yes, agree.
Agree. And that's also why we're going to Indiana.
That would be cool.
For All-Star next year. Because nobody was going to Indiana before Caitlin Clark. Let's just be real.
Especially
the WNBA was not going to Indiana before Caitlin Clark.
Imagine like the queer people of the WNBA, like, hey, let's go to Indiana on summer. Like never.
Yeah. And then Salt Lake City next year. Like it'll be awesome. What could go wrong?
No.
Nothing wrong at all.
And then
Jacksonville after that.
The thing is like we can't deny the impact
in those cities, but you kind of
it is. Yeah.
That's a political. That's I studied poli-sci, 2 degrees. Thanks. I know what the laws are there. Sometimes you just gotta let people know.
A lot of what I see here in the U.S. is very new to me, right? So I didn't know that Mike Pence was from Indiana until I drove by Indiana, the first thing that I saw was a picture of Mike Pence hung on the wall of a stop of a rest area. That was That's the
Utah.
first
Oh,
thing that I
man.
saw. I was like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's Mike Pence's state. Yeah. Anyways, so no one is saying that she's not. I would love an extra game in Indiana. It would be like sold out. It would be packed. No one is denying any of that. But
Absolutely not.
anyways,
Yeah.
so New York.
If it goes through, we're probably getting Rookie of the Year on Friday. We might still get
Yeah.
Rookie of the Year on Friday. Let's see.
New York and Atlanta.
yes.
Your New York Liberty.
My New York Liberty. I love. You're so good. You're so good. I think the New York Liberty are such an interesting 1 seed coming in. Like, I was set up to answer a question like, how far ahead are the New York Liberty ahead of the field? And I was like, not very, not very. Like, get where you're trying to go with that. They won the number 1 seed for sure. But we've talked about this before. The Aces in 10 games were the hottest team coming into the postseason. Defensively, and by who they beat, the Lynx were the hottest team coming in.
Exactly.
Indiana Fever, from where they started at All-Star, you could make an argument that they're one of the hottest teams coming in. So depending on how you look at it, I was like, baby, I'm from New York. I hold it down. I at least stomp with the rest of them. But I can't say that New York is for sure like leaps and bounds, head and shoulders over the field.
No, I do think that, there's a name specifically in the Atlanta Dream that poses a big threat. And and where is she from?
New York. She's from Queens.
She's from
New York.
Queens.
You know, some of you know that's inside joke. We're not going to get into it right now. She's from New York.
You have, who else do you have? Alicia Gray.
I mean,
it's not a bad team.
But they came in as the 8 seed.
Exactly. And depending on other teams to qualify.
Yes. So Atlanta, not so hot.
It's going to be an easy one.
Not so hot. This should be an easy win for the New York Liberty, even though they played their bench for a decent amount of the last regular season game, which was against Atlanta, and they didn't like how they played in that game. They lost that game to Atlanta.
Yeah.
I don't see the Dream being able to overcome the New York Liberty.
No, I don't think so. I think that it's going to be a 2-game series.
And why is that? Because Leonie Fiebich.
Auf Wiedersehen.
You see how I'm just doing my own sounds now? Like I don't have a soundboard.
I'll just everything that I know in everything that I can say in German.
Yeah.
Guten Morgen. Guten Tag.
Wait, okay, let's see. I should know this. No, Gambare is that's Japanese. Off gates is let's go.
Oh.
Off gates.
That's a good one to know.
Off gates Leo.
That's good.
I mean, you were in the Black Rosie Media Slack. Like I was, and Jeff too. I was just like, Leo.
Yep.
Leo.
Yeah.
Like everything was just Leo. Like just like every different, just all of the emotions for Leo.
Yep. And there's Leo is a rookie, right? Camila Cardoso is a rookie.
Yes.
So people in Brazil are very passionate. And ESPN put out that rookie ranking where Leonie Fiebich was 3rd and Camila was 4th.
No.
Oh my God. What? This player doesn't even like average 10 points per game. She comes off the bench and this and that. And I was like, do you even watch the WNBA?
And yet she is my 6th player of the year.
Oh, 100%.
First team
my 6th
rookie.
player. Yep.
First team rookie. And she put on a show. Got a career high in her first playoff game.
Yeah.
And this is what Jonathan Kolb, who is the general manager of the New York Liberty, has been saying, that not only did he recruit for length, because she gives them good reach on defense, but also he wanted to recruit players that can come up big time in clutch.
Yeah, and that's what she did.
And what I absolutely loved, and I was like, oh, she got that dog. She was interviewed by the amazing Ari Chambers, who we already talked about.
Oh my God.
And she was totally Cheryl Reeving Popovich That's how she was like.
Yeah.
Ari was like, "Oh my gosh, like you're amazing." This is not actually what she said. This is a dramatization. Everyone.
Yeah.
Ari did not actually say this. She's like, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Are you amazed by how amazing you are?" And Leia was like, "Nope."
Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. So, how do you replicate this? How do you get ready for the next game? Nothing changes. Wouldn't it be amazing to like
I hate
the
it.
series? We're looking for a championship. Now, this didn't actually happen, but it could have. Like, that was the vibe. Like, it was like, I am unbothered. Like, Ari, I'm sure you're great, but like, I got places to be. Like,
I hate the stereotypes, but how much more German can you be than that? And I love that for her.
Oh, it was great.
Like,
it was great. Leia was unbothered. She's like, I mean, this is what I do.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. It's.
I mean, I'm that girl.
She's like. I mean, I think she's kind of like a mini Courtney Vandersloot. And
yes. Okay. So let's talk about it because we talked about Horston versus Gabby Williams as far as who's going to get the starting minutes. This has been a tough season for Courtney Vandersloot. We know the personal reasons. Yeah. Last year also tough. We've talked about that on Black Rosie Media before. And Courtney Vandersloot has also talked about since coming back, reintegrating to the team that she's playing a different role, but it's not because she feels that she can't continue to play that starting role. But this is how you know the New York Liberty are locked in because Courtney Vandersloot has been saying that all season. I can still play starting minutes. I know what I can do. I'm not doing that right now, but I know that I can still do that. Sandy Brondello has a conversation with Courtney Vandersloot and eventually Leo and says, Courtney, you're coming off the bench. And Courtney Vandersloot was like, say less. I understand. Do I think I can start? Abso-freaking-lutely. And if this is what it's going to take to get this team to the place where it needs to be, then that's what I'll do. First of all, you got to go back in the archives because got to get up a podcast for New York Liberty fans. We've been saying Courtney Vandersloot off the bench since last year. That's their best chance.
Has been a comment.
The difference is that with Leonie Fiebich on the team now, you can actually do that.
Exactly.
And they didn't have that in my estimation last year because Sabrina Ionescu was not playing the way she is this year. My MIP, I've been saying that for a while now. She wasn't playing how she is this year.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
So you needed Courtney Vandersloot to eat up those minutes. But now with Leo playing the way she is, with the size that she gives you, Courtney Vandersloot is slippery. Like she is menacing. She drives. She can shoot. She can do everything that you need in small doses. Having her come off the bench as a second attack is huge. And the only way that happens is if Leo is doing what she needs to do.
Exactly. And I think that's the difference on what makes a super team. You're putting players who are going to be the best that they can be at any moment of what they're asked. And when you think of Courtney Vandersloot, you think of like her Chicago years and her like dominating, starting, being a champion. She is a very cerebral player. She is smart human being. She's one of the smartest people and also one of the most dedicated people that I've ever met in basketball. I was working with Erica de Souza when she was in Chicago, so I went to almost all of the Chicago Sky practices post Olympics in 2016. And both Courtney and Ellie Quigley, they already had a name. They were already really good, but they would be the first to get to practice. Like before everyone got there, they had been, shooting for, 1-2 hours already. So I think that Courtney understands that that's her role now. I think that she understands that she's starting to transition into that role of being like the very important supportive veteran which is very important in this league.
It's huge. It makes a difference. And the WNBA, like a lot of leagues, but I think specifically in the WNBA, you need veterans that have been there, that know what it takes. Because we're talking about round one, and at the max, it's 3 games.
Yeah.
In the NHL, you start at 7 out the gate. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
There's not room for error.
No.
You need that leadership. And that's huge. So we're going to start landing the plane, so to speak.
Yeah.
The Boeing, is it Boeing? Is that the one that's out here? Okay.
Okay. So what the final?
Do those land? I don't know.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
they do. Okay.
Okay. Final verdict. Atlanta and New York.
I'm taking New York in 2.
New York in 2.
New York in 2.
Connecticut and Indiana.
We said 3, right?
Connecticut in 3 for me.
I think it could go 3. I still think Storm Aces is the most likely to go to 3.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
agree.
be surprised if Connecticut gets it done.
Yeah, I think
Dewana
it's gonna.
Bonner, we didn't even really get to Dewana. I know there was a comment in the chat, but like Dewana Bonner is on a whole nother level.
Yeah,
underrated, underappreciated,
absolutely underrated,
and keeps climbing the ranks of all-time greats.
Did you see her knocking the wood?
Yes.
That was so funny.
Dewana is hilarious.
So I think
her.
it's Connecticut in 3, Minnesota in 2, Vegas in 3.
Vegas in 3.
I think so. Unfortunately,
that's probably right. I think it really is going to depend on how Seattle comes out.
Yeah, I do think that Jewel hitting that gold mamba mode could put the Storm more like up there too.
Yeah. So all right, we're gonna close out our Tempestagi talking about the Storm. So we have some year in review. Team MVP for Seattle. This one's tough. This one's really tough because I feel like you have your tortoise answer and then your hare answer. And you could probably guess who I'm trying to decide between. NECA or Skylar?
NECA. If we're talking about year-round, I think that Skylar reached that MVP. If Skylar was playing the way she's playing post-Olympic break the whole year, I think that she would be in the MVP talk the same way that NECA is.
I think you're right.
I think it is a travesty that NECA Ogumake finished 7th in the MVP voting. She should have been 4th. I don't think that the players who were ahead of her were better than her this year.
Yeah, NECA, her game has always been tough to translate, I think, for a lot of people. Which is interesting. I
printed her stats because they are so amazing.
I wrote this, I think, earlier in here, but the amazing Latrina Robinson said something. And of course, now I can't find. Oh, NECA plays at her own pace.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a great comment because she is very seldom sped up. And it's like when you lock in on NECA, there are just so many little things that you see, but she makes it look so easy. So I really liked that Latrina said that. So I agree with you. I think the consistency probably not there. But for me, I think Skylar's worth mentioning because the energy that she gives the Seattle Storm team, to me, even though the consistency isn't there, you need that. You need that sandpaper Ryan Donato, right, kind of player. And I think Skylar gives that to the Seattle Storm.
Yeah. So NECA, I think, is in her 12th, 13th year.
Is this 13? I think
year
this
13.
Might be 13, yeah.
She's averaging 16.7 points per game. And that's her 5th best. She's on year 13 and she is having her 5th best average.
It's nasty.
In her career. She there is no ceiling for her. She's just that good, and she's just also her fifth best rebounding season. So and again, we're talking about a 13-year veteran who has been in this league doing great things. She could just be I've done my thing. But no, she's
getting after it. And that's all what we've been hearing from this Storm team. That's something that's a good through line is that they want to get back to what they consider to be Seattle Storm caliber play.
What they call
This is one of the
culture.
Exactly. This is one of the few franchises that has 4 titles. Not consecutive. Only Houston has ever done that.
Yes.
But this is one of the few. And with NECA and Skylar, I don't think you go wrong with a team MVP either way.
No.
Needs for next season. Mine were really easy. More Gabby.
Gabby Williams.
More Gabby Williams.
Around.
A full season.
Yeah, they
and
need Gabby
a full
Williams.
postseason.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that it is Gabby Williams, and they need to be more aggressive. We talked about championship.
Be aggressive.
We talked about championship culture.
Yeah.
But there is also this softness culture in the Storm history that worked well for the past in the WNBA. The WNBA today, you can't be soft.
Oh, absolutely not.
You need to be aggressive, and that's what Skylar Diggins has been asking. Sandpaper. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh no, they're coming for you in our chat. Vegas in 3, take her mic away. No more gold mambo. No more gold mambo nachos for you. No more. You should have gotten a full order, not the half order of gold mambo. That's what we need. We need a full order of gold mambo nachos for tomorrow.
We need a full order.
And then some.
Yeah.
3 full orders.
Yeah. They need a Gabby Williams item in the menu.
Hey, let's go.
Some Gabby Brulee could be a dessert.
Not Gabby Brulee. Jen, we have ideas for you. Where's your R&D team? Let's get them.
Yeah. So they did mention the prioritization.
Get a full season. Yeah.
Oh, I hate that so much.
I know. We're hoping that things will change there. Okay. Other things from 11 to 5.
Amazing, and I think that's better than I thought was gonna go.
I agree.
So I think that
and we're in place for 4 until Vegas started surging.
Exactly. I think that they did much better than what they overseeded expectations.
Yeah,
I think that's
not Gabby Williams.
Williams.
Oh man,
that's amazing.
Well played.
But yeah, I think that from 11th to 5th place, I think that's great, and that's why. And I know that can be kind of like that's why I said that I thought that Novi should be in the conversations for Coach of the Year. Up until the Olympic break, I was adamant that Noe would be up there in the conversation. I was Coach Noel playing for Coach of the Year because you bring a team from 11th to 5th and you are able to put all those pieces together. That's something that's no easy feat. That's not something that's easy. I do think that because of how things went down after the Olympic break, then there was not a conversation anymore. But I feel like she has been a big rock for that team that's still trying to figure out their place. And because she has that calm presence, but at the same time, she's very firm.
Yeah.
She is no BS.
No, she's not.
And that's what a team that's rediscovering its identity needs. So I do think that if things kept going the same way they were going before the Olympic break, Noe should be top 2 for Coach of the Year.
I actually disagree. I think she has potential, but I think she's not there yet. I think when you look at some of the greatest coaches in the WNBA right now, Cheryl Reeve is at the top of the mountain for this season for sure. I think Sandy Brondello would likely get a little bit more thought for Coach of the Year if she hadn't gotten the New York Liberty so quickly accelerated last year, which is where I think she really showed her mettle as far as coach of the year. I don't think Noelle Quinn is gonna usurp either one of those coaches. Not anytime soon.
Fair enough.
That being said, and we've talked about this before, since at Black Rosie Media, we cover the Liberty, we cover the Storm most consistently. Noelle Quinn has everything in the making of a coach of the year. Yeah. But I think for this season, the way you go from 11 to 5 happened in free agency. And that's not a coaching thing. That's a GM thing. So I always pronounce, is it Talisa or Talissa?
I think it's Talisa Ray.
Talisa Ray, yes. Yeah. That's my executive GM of the year.
Interesting.
For me, for this season, that's the difference for the Storm. Now, for the Seattle Storm to remain relevant in the WNBA and to be a perennial postseason team, that's when Noelle Quinn starts to jump into the conversation for me.
Yeah, interesting enough.
But I mean, she's got girl dad beat. She's got Christy Sides beat.
Yeah, I think girl dad. I got it. I think so. In the conversation are you gonna say something?
No, you're good.
I think that Jonathan Cole, because he was able to keep the Liberty together, he was able to keep the piece. It's hard to bring the pieces together. It's even harder to keep the pieces together.
Yes, and don't even get me started on. Oh my gosh, we're about to have an expansion draft.
My God!
Like I might actually start crying.
Oh no!
Why? We have 3 expansion teams. The expansion drafts. Plural.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
And I gotta say, I'm talking about I think that, and that's something that players have said for the executive thing. I think someone who doesn't get credit for all the movements with the Storm is Pokey Chapman.
Yeah.
She
agreed.
Jewel Lloyd in one of the first press conferences of the year. I was trying to find it, but I couldn't. Someone asked her, like, well, how was the Storm able to put this team together? And she was like, Pokey Chapman. Pokey Chapman is the reason why we got that kind of Skyler here.
What is her exact title with the Storm?
She is assistant coach and associate GM.
Okay. I knew there was an associate something. I didn't know. Okay.
And I talked to Noe about it. I was like, so Noe, it was not only one player that said that. Like, why are they, why do they like make a point of saying and praising Pokey and putting her so like highly on that? And she was like, she is a great general manager. She has great relationship with agents, and she has been in this league for a long time.
The real executive is Pokey Chapman. Is that what you're saying?
For me, yes. I don't want to, I think that
I forget.
And it just
GM.
It really just happened. Like, that has nothing to do with that. Like, Pokey was announced as the Brazilian national team technical consultant, and my sources say that that's just like for this period, and then she's going to be head coach. So, and that has nothing to do with
that. Bye, Angelica. Get some sleep.
Bye.
I know it is super late.
Yeah. So I have always been a big fan of Pokey Chapman. You think of that Chicago Sky with Elena Daladon, with Ellie Quigley. She laid the foundation for the Sky to get to the championship.
Yep.
She laid the foundation for the Fever to get to where they are today. Pokey. And that's why I was so excited to see her being named to the Brazilian team, because she is a coach who knows how to grab a team that's in the bottom and bring up to the top. And that's what she did with the Storm. Yeah. So my flowers go to Pokey.
That's not a bad choice. It's not a bad choice. The way that the awards go, it's given to one executive, but I think Jonathan Kolb made a point to say that this is really like a whole front office. Yeah. And maybe they should change it. I don't know. Because to your point, Pokey Chapman is a huge X factor talking about the Seattle Storm in the offseason.
Yeah. Okay. Because the free agents last year was not good.
Ooh, very, very free agency. I mean, free agency this year is about to be wild. And the year after, because potentially we're talking new CBA. expansion teams.
I cannot wait.
It's going to be wild.
I cannot wait.
But you know what I cannot wait for? I cannot wait for another full slate. Well, I guess it's half a slate. Playoff games.
Yep.
So we have 2 games tomorrow, 2 games Wednesday. And it's going to be the New York Liberty once again hosting Atlanta and the Vegas Aces hosting the Seattle Storm. Game 2 for New York is a 4:30 Pacific time start. So that's 7:30 Eastern time. And then we are 6:30 local time for the Seattle Storm game. That's 9:30 Eastern. And then on Wednesday, we have Indiana at Connecticut. That's 4:30. It's same times, 4:30, 6:30 Pacific time. And so we think first series to wrap will be New York.
I agree. I think so.
We think Seattle Vegas is going game 3.
I think it's going game 3.
So we'll know tomorrow if our predictions are correct. And then we have to wait until Wednesday.
Yep.
It seems like, I don't know, I go back and forth. But we'll see. If Rookie of the Year gets announced, are they waiting? Do you think they're waiting to see if it goes game 3?
I had like my writers from Meta Basket, they were very funny, and they were like, is the WNBA announcing Asia as MVP because they are afraid that the Aces are going to lose the series for the Storm?
I honestly don't know what the WNBA is
I
thinking.
have no idea what they were doing.
5:30 local time.
Oh my God.
For the MVP announcement. Who does that? Like Asia Wilson's getting an alert at 5:30. Well, she already knew. But Asia Wilson's mama, she also probably already knew. Asia Wilson's fan club is getting an alert at 5:30 a.m. that she's the MVP.
Like, the only reason why I got the notification on time is because I woke up to tell my boss that I wasn't going to work.
I'm like,
that's the only reason.
Hilarious. I'm halfway on Eastern time right now anyway. So I don't know. That was wild. So I don't know. TBD. We don't know when the awards. Usually we get a little insider tip as voting members of the media. They're like, no.
National voting member. She votes for the WNBA awards.
I do. I will not give you my email because I don't want to hear it. No, stop. Do not DM. Do not call. Do not text. No. And then we have Phoenix at Minnesota. I think that one will probably.
Is that when they're going to announce?
I don't know.
Cheryl Reeve, Coach of the Year. That's my pick.
That was that's my pick too. Yeah, Coach of the Year. I honestly don't know. Don't know what they're gonna do. No idea. And then this was like a big conversation also in the MNBA because they're like, well, why announce MVP if the winner for the regular season gets knocked out? And I'm like, okay, but it's a regular season award. Like, I don't know. It's just who knows? We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah,
we have no idea.
In our list, most of our picks are the same. Yeah. Except for
MIP.
Who is your MIP?
I feel like I've been saying it forever. Sabrina Ionescu is my MIP. I've also said this before. I don't like that MIP seems to a lot of time more so be like comeback player, or this player was like in the running for defensive player, maybe even MVP, but we want to give them something, so let's give MIP. Sabrina Ionescu has been coming off of an injury since her rookie year. Last year, not fully healthy, but the closest we've ever seen. She's pretty much healthy this year. And people will say, oh, well, I'm not going to give MIP to someone who's been an all-star or who's been in the playoffs. Do you know how hard it is to be a top player and then get better?
I don't.
I have no idea. Right? So I just think it's interesting that the arguments against Sabrina for MIP, I'm not saying your argument, not your argument, but arguments that we see on the interwebs for Sabrina, that they say that the reason she shouldn't win MIP are the same reasons some people are giving for Asia Wilson to win MVP. Yep. Asia Wilson was like the race for MVP last year was so tight.
Oh my God.
I honestly don't like that people are disrespecting Alyssa Thomas, who should have been MVP. She was my number one vote last year. Oh, Absolutely. She was MVP last year, in my opinion.
I don't get a vote, but if I were to vote, it would have been
I did
Stewie,
I did
Asia.
Stewie, AT, Asia. I voted Asia third, not fourth.
Not fourth.
Not
by no
not
means.
fourth. I did not vote,
Not
but
fourth.
she had my third vote.
Yeah.
And that's because
That
the
was
other
last
two
year, just to be clear.
last year. Yeah, not this year. For me, Asia Wilson, even though a lot of people thought she should have won MVP, got even better.
Yeah.
And if she can win MVP after having a very close to MVP season last year, that is hard to do. To
Very
be
hard to do.
the elite of the elite and then get even elite. That's hard.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Sabrina's trajectory is the same as Asia Wilson or Brianna Stewart or even AT last year. That's not what I'm saying. Within her category, most improved player, going from someone who I was flat out scared to watch play defense. I have a hashtag that some people know from Gotta Get Up, hashtag unquick, hate her first step. I'm just being honest. Like, can we talk about it? And now I can't use that hashtag anymore because she's not as unquick as she used to be. And she can get downhill. Like those are critical things for the New York Liberty being successful.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And after to be honest, I had never heard anyone make a point for an MIP in that sense. It has always been like someone who was just not even like doing bad, but just like not at the top, not being a conversation for those big awards. In that sense, I do think it makes sense. I think it makes sense. Yeah. And if Sabrina were to win MIP, I think that would be fair because she has really taken a very different role for the Liberty. She has taken like a bigger role and like that, give her the keys because she has stepped
Give her
up.
the keys, jingle jangle.
Yeah.
Give her the
but
keys.
For me, it's Dejanay
Caitlin Clark. Let
Carrington.
me stop. Some people really want Caitlin Clark to win MIP. And I'm
my
like,
God.
you see, the way improved works is there's like a baseline, and then you when you're a rookie, you don't have that. That's kind of what it means to be a rookie. Like a first year player. Anyway, okay. Dejanay Carrington.
Buckle up season.
That's it.
Dejanay Carrington. I think that she has been steady and she has taken such a big role with a Connecticut Sun that is stacked. And I am very impressed by her game this year.
I would agree.
She is a player that, I was so happy that the first Caitlin Clark game was against the Sun because
so good.
Who were the players that people knew first? Dejanay Carrington,
yes,
Alyssa Thomas,
yes,
DeWanna Bonner.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I think that's amazing. I am all in the Dejanay Carrington, Alyssa Smith talk. I think it's so fun.
They're having so much fun.
I love all that. Give those
bigger
players
trolls, Dejanay and NA or DT playing with fans' hearts.
Oh, it has to be DT. She's been doing this for a long time, and the thing is that
I'm not new, I'm true.
Dejanay, the thing's like you see the Dejanay lives and everything. She tries to troll, but then she feels bad. DT does not give a beep.
She doesn't. Yeah,
she
doesn't care.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So my
Worthless.
MIP would be Dejanay Carrington.
I think that's a good pick.
Yeah, and I know that the WNBA doesn't do that, but the AP does, and that's the comeback.
Yes.
For me, Kennedy Carter.
Yes.
No doubt.
Yes. And I think AP voted Skylar.
It's kind of fair. More than fair.
Very good.
Yeah.
And I mean,
what Kennedy Carter did this year with that Chicago Sky, considering everything that happened in the last season and the previous season with her, she was above average from start to finish.
Agreed.
And I really hope she comes back next year. Oh my God, talking about the Chicago Sky.
Oh, I know.
Someone asked her if she would play 3-on-3.
Well, apparently.
And she said, they asked if she would play Unrivaled. And she was like, they didn't show interest in me, so I have to go look somewhere else. So I'm going to go look somewhere else.
Skirt.
She's like, but I would like to play 3-on-3. She would be amazing on 3x3.
Yeah, like good luck stopping that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we, per usual, have gone a little longer than we anticipated, and I'm grateful because
too.
it was a good conversation.
It was a really good
Hopefully,
conversation.
y'all had some fun.
Yeah,
We
I'm very
appreciate y'all
grateful.
coming out.
Yeah, very grateful for you for, just having that space for us to have this kind of conversation. And, Black Rosie Media bringing, people who usually would not have a space in the media, and
Yeah.
you understand talent like very few people do.
Thank you.
So I'm grateful to you, to Jen, for opening the space for
woohoo,
us.
Rough and Tumble.
Yeah, I'm grateful for Jeff. What's your name? I know you're Jeff.
And Rhonda. Yes.
Thank for Jeff and Rhonda for being here, and my amazing spouse, Mal, because I told her the story of the New York Liberty game in Westchester. Yeah,
That's so
second,
funny.
third date, something like that.
Oh my gosh.
They
And look at us now.
look at us now.
Look at us now.
Biggest Cheryl Reeve fan.
Yes,
You're gonna find out
I
there.
get it. All right, I get it.
So yeah, no, Mal
Where's
has
the blazer
been.
I can throw into the
Yeah.
crowd?
No, Mal has been supporting all my basketball endeavors,
Love it.
and all of our lives. I
Yes.
stay there, and they patiently wait.
That's amazing. We love it.
But yeah, just very happy for the conversation we had, for the space, for the safe space that we have.
Yes.
And just very excited for the remainder of the playoffs, for Ezzy to play tomorrow. And
Yes, Ezzy, X Factor Ezzy. We're so excited. And thank you, Roberta, for joining me. You were such a huge part of us just trying this out today. And,
That was fun.
it can be tough when you're trying to do a million things, but to have your support has been amazing. And make sure we will have an episode of Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans.
Yeah.
We also want you to join our Slack community
Yep.
for Black Rosie Media. Listen, I'm really trying to get off of the social media, the social meets, especially the bird accounts,
Yeah.
because it's just gotten a little toxic over there. So we're creating our own community. So join us on Slack. And we had YouTube up here for a little bit, but subscribe to our YouTube page. That's when you can get notifications if you're subscribed, and hit the notification bell of when we're going to go live,
Yep.
any of the content that we have up, and it's going to be a good time. Angelica was in the chat. I know she had to get some
that's
rest,
true.
but we got hockey season coming up, PWHL, so we're going to get the
Yep.
Founding Four pod squared
That's
away
cool.
again. And yes, we will be using that censor button on that podcast a lot. That's for you,
Yep.
Angelica. So that this investment was worth it for
Yeah.
that button alone. But yeah, how can we follow your work?
Beta Basket's on social media, beta underscore basket. I am on social media. On Twitter, I am Roberta, ROBERTAWBB, as in women's basketball. Twitter died in Brazil. So I'm on
Well,
Blue Sky, but I'm
there you
hoping that Elon Musk gets his speed together and,
or just sells his beep.
yeah, or just like, anyways.
Just like goes away. to
So,
outer space,
yeah.
to infinity and beyond.
Oh my God, remember that?
Oh my gosh.
Because everyone's talking
Black
about
Eye,
Caitlin
yeah.
Clark's Black Eye. I was
Oh my
like, honey,
gosh.
we've been watching Brianna Stewart for a
Oh
while.
my gosh, Stewie,
That poor
yeah.
girl.
Oh, you knew,
Anyways,
that's
so
cute.
yeah, social media here, and I've been writing. I have a newsletter, which it's right now it's only in Portuguese, but I'm slowly transitioning into being a bilingual newsletter. It's just so much that we do.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
get
so-
it. You
so
do
yeah.
a lot. That's amazing. Well, thank you all. Thank you, Rough and Tumble.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone who joined us on the interweb. Our light didn't work for today, so that's why
It's
it's a
gonna work in
little
the
funky.
future.
Yeah, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it done. But this was a lot of fun. And game day tomorrow for the Seattle
Game
Storm.
day tomorrow.
So we're gonna have another one of these little shindigs.
Yep.
I don't know if it'll be live at Rough and Tumble, but we've got some more stuff
Yeah.
coming up for you.
Definitely.
But all right, everyone, we're gonna close it out. I'm gonna have another. It was like the sour and like a cream ale mix. That was
Oh,
very
I have
good. But
my
I've got
Rainier
a
here.
Rainier,
Very
there you go.
BMW.
Love it. So we're gonna get some drinks. I'm gonna finish my half goat sandwich. What's half a goat? Caitlin Clark. Let me stop. Yeah, right. There is a button. Hold on. We gotta find it. All right, everyone. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Half a goat.